Hi, John with eTrailer. If you're looking for a hitch to get you some more space with a cargo rack or maybe some bike racks for your Lincoln, then check out the eTrailer Class 3 receiver hitch that we installed on our 2017 Lincoln MKX. We'll take a closer look at the eTrailer hitch on our Lincoln here. You're going to see it has a matte black finish. This is something that's exclusive to our eTrailer hitches. I like this. This ends up blending well with a lot of the bumpers and the black trim that we have on a lot of the cars that we install these on. So as far as specs here, we got a 2-inch by 2-inch reinforced collar. That's going to be the industry standard for a Class 3 hitch. It's also the most popular size for ball mounts and for accessories. So this is a great option for you if you either have accessories or if you're in the market for them. As far as the chain hangers on the side here, they're going to take your standard S-hook like that, or a little bit heavier duty, the clevis style. Just fine. You got plenty of room to move them. The other thing I like about this hitch, it's a hidden cross tube. The only thing you see on this is the receiver section. The rest of it is tucked up behind the bumper, so it's a nice clean look. It sits back under the car a little bit, so you don't have to worry about hitting your leg as you walk behind your Lincoln or anything else like that. One thing to note, if you're new to towing, you're going to need a pin and clip. This is a 5/8 inch pin and clip. We have these here available at eTrailer for you. If you are in the market for accessories like bike racks and cargo racks, a lot of those accessories already have these clips included, so you don't need to worry about that. Let's get some measurements on this hitch. This will help you if you already have or you're shopping for accessories and such. So I'm going to go from the ground to the top of the inside collar here. And we're looking at about 13¼ inches on the Lincoln. And then from the inside, from the center of the hole for the pin and clip to the outside of the bumper is about 6 inches. Now these numbers are important when you're choosing either a ball mount. You may want a ball mount that has a rise to it, or if you have accessories that fold up in the stowed position, you don't want them to contact the back fascia. As far as capacities on this receiver hitch, you're looking at 675 pounds of tongue weight rating. That's going to be plenty for you if you want to load it up with a cargo rack and a generator or dirt bike, something like that. That's going to be the force pushing down on your hitch. Now, for towing, you're looking at 4,500 pounds. That's going to be the weight pulling on this hitch. Now, of course, that's going to be the weight of your trailer and then anything you put in it or on it. As usual, always check with the owner's manual of your Lincoln to make sure how much weight you can actually tow. If you are considering a hitch, we have a few different options available. And like I said, the Class 3s are going to be the most popular. They're going to give you the most bang for your buck. As far as installation goes on this, we do have some tips for the Lincolns that we give you on the installation to show you, save you a little bit of time. If you want to see how we installed it on this one, stick around. Now to begin our installation, we'll come over to the corner of the vehicle here. We're on the passenger side. We're going to remove 2 5.5mm bolts here, or 7/32 if you want to use standard. Now this job's going to be a little bit easier to do if you have ramps that you can back up on, or maybe some jack stands to prop the car up a little bit on your driveway. This is something you can do in your garage or on your driveway. You don't necessarily need a lift to do this. Set these off to the side. Grab a 10mm socket. You're going to have 2 10mm nuts that need to come off up here. Set these off to the side. Then come over to your wheel well. You're going to have 2 push pin fasteners that you need to remove. There's going to be more, but it's going to be the one on the furthest inside here and this one here. I'm using a trim panel tool, but you can just use a flathead screwdriver if you like. You just pop the center section out. And it can be stubborn sometimes, especially behind the wheel like this. You're going to get a lot of dirt and grime in there. Is it really being stubborn? So we ended up just having to force them out. I just took the tool and kind of pried them out. And then, so if you do that and it's still stuck, once they're out, just get your tool and kind of open them up by hand so that when you reinstall them, they'll be ready to go. Now that's all the fasteners that are holding this plastic box on, so you can simply maneuver this down and out of the way. You're going to have one of these on both sides. It's the same process to remove them. Now using the same sockets that were used before, you're going to have 6 of these bolts here across the center section, the plastic center section. So we need to remove these, and then we're going to have one 10mm flange nut right here in the middle that comes out. Then we can remove the center plastic insert here. We could take a cam buckle tie-down strap, and I've attached it just on the springs here. We're going to be lowering the exhaust, and so we want this strap to come across to support the exhaust as we take it down. In the instruction manuals, for the Lincoln models like this, they want you to remove the rear fascia, and we have been successful here at eTrailer just by lowering the exhaust and kind of pulling out to allow the exhaust system to come down and relax. And we'll show you how to do that right now, save you a step from having to peel your bumper off. Now take some silicone spray and spray down the rubber isolator for your exhaust. And you're going to have one of these on both sides. If you don't have silicone spray, you can use soapy water. Silicone really makes life a little bit easier on these. And to remove this, you can take a pry bar like this, and we're going to be sliding it off. You really want to make sure you get some of that silicone or soapy water inside of here so you can pull down and spray it in there. It makes a big difference when you're trying to get these rubber isolators off. So as you can see, just by having enough silicone in there, I was able to push it off with my thumbs. That's how much of a difference the silicone spray makes. So like I said, you're going to have one of these on both sides. Now this part, you're definitely going to need to be able to pull kind of out and down and push away on your muffler at the same time. We have the rubber isolators that we took off on either side. We have our strap under here, but I've got it a little loose right now because as you need the movement to be able to swing the exhaust pipe up here around these clips. So just know that that your strap here isn't tight and it's not going to be supporting your exhaust. So once you finally clear under the bumper here, try to tighten up your strap and then work the other side out as well. Okay, there's one side. The exhaust actually shifted over. It makes it a lot easier. So kind of swing it over once you get the one out, and it'll come out just like this. We've got our exhaust down. You can see the heat shield here. In the center of it, we're going to have a stud right here, and we need to cut this off. So I'm going to use a Dremel tool today. You can use a Sawzall or whatever you need to do. Just remove this stud, cut it off as close as you can to the trunk up here. You don't have to cut all the way through. You can just cut mostly through, and it just gets you a set of pliers, and you can break it off. Now this is the hardware that you're going to get with your hitch. And in the kit, you're going to have some fish wires. You're going to have some spacer blocks, some flange nuts, and then you have a couple of regular nuts and some lock washers here. And this is what we're going to be bolting your hitch up to the Lincoln with. So we can undo these. We're over here on the driver's side of the frame, but everything that we're going to be doing here is going to be the exact same on the passenger side. We're going to be using the 4 holes that I've circled here. There's 2 on the bottom and 2 on the side here, and that's where the hardware is going to go. Now, to get the hardware up inside the frame, we're going to be using this oval hole right here. So what we need to do, I usually like to start with the hole furthest away to fish the wire up there. I'll feed the coil end into here, and we want to come out the oval hole here. So if you need to bend the wire a little bit to get it to come out, or if you get lucky like I just did, you don't need to do anything. So we'll take a spacer block and just set that on there, and then take a carriage bolt and thread that onto the spring. And then feed the spacer block, either end, doesn't matter. Feed the spacer block up into that hole, and then the carriage bolt, and just pull it through just like that. And then just repeat that process for the other remaining holes here. So this is what it should look like on both sides when you're finished. Now before you raise the hitch, make sure you push in the ones on the side, on both sides, passenger and driver side. Just enough, because the hitch is going to slide up the frame rail like this, and we don't want this to block, we don't want these bolts here to block it from going up all the way. With an extra set of hands, you can then raise the hitch up. You want to take the fish wires and feed them through the appropriate holes here. So for the 2 on the side, and then the 2 on the bottom. Now, as far as the bottom goes, you're going to have a large hole and then the 2 smaller ones. Ignore the large hole in the middle and run the fish wires through the smaller holes. And you can simply raise the hitch up into place. And just pull the side bolts out to kind of lock it in place for you and give you time to get some of the flange nuts on here. You can unthread the fish wire and then take a flange nut and carefully thread that on. Just putting a little bit of side pressure on the bolt right now to keep it from falling back in the frame. And while we're here, this gets a flange nut, so does this one and this one. This one right here that's closest to the gusset, these are going to get the split ring lock washer and the standard nut right here. Then we can snug these up and then torque them to the specs that you're going to find in the installation manual. I would recommend doing the ones on the bottom of the frame here first, and then doing the ones on the side of the frame. So by doing the bottom first, it's going to more align the side of the hitch here for the bolts. Now with everything torqued to spec, the next step is going to be to raise your exhaust back up. Remember, we're going to slide it in and up and then force the other side over. The rubber isolators here. I gave it another shot of silicone just to make it easier. So your exhaust is up. You can remove the cam buckle tie-down strap. Now with your exhaust mounted, the only other thing you're going to have to do is replace your two plastic boxes on either side of the car by the wheel well. This center section that we took out doesn't go back on. The hitch replaces that now. Now the last step is just to replace the plastic panels on either side of your car. Now this isn't in the directions, but we ended up just using a Dremel tool and we just cut the cap off of it. A lot of people, you may not have a half-inch drill bit laying around and it has to be, you know, exactly in the center. This really doesn't matter anymore having a cap on it because our hitch is up there blocking everything on the inside of the frame anyway. So it's just easier to cut this off. You can use a Sawzall even and just trim the cap off of it. This way you won't have any fitment issues when you go to reinstall it. And you can take the push pins and just snap them back into place here. Just do this on both sides and you'll have completed your installation. And that was a look at eTrailer's Class 3 receiver hitch on our 2017 Lincoln MKX.